Naked Shamanism. Welcome to With Insights Radio. I'm your host, Iggy Garcia. I will take you on a journey across the universe through shamanism, metaphysical, and holistic. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. All right, tell me if you can hear me, guys. All right, Colby, welcome to the show. Welcome, everybody, to the show. I need to know if you guys can hear me on the live stream. Just tell me with a yes or no if you can hear me. All right, here real quick. Can you hear me? All right. Well, I know the radio show is live. I just need to know if everybody on the live stream can actually hear me, because it's important to know if I'm being heard on live stream. So, Abby, can you hear me? Abby, just give me a little yes there. That way I can know. And I'm going to pop around here. All right, cool. Then perfect. We're going to roll with the show. I want to welcome everybody to Iggy Garcia Live. This is my bi-weekly show that I do once a month. And we're almost finished with this month. This month is rolling pretty quick. We're just about to, it's first day of fall tomorrow or the next day. Fall is here. Summer has just poofed away and gone. But welcome, everybody. Susan, Abby, welcome to the show. Colby, welcome to the show. Those of you who are on live stream, thank you for joining. I want to check my radio link here real quick. Make sure. I want to thank everybody who's on there as well. Been broadcasting with Insights Radio for almost, about close to 20 years. I couldn't believe it was 20 years that I've been doing this, having this network and doing the things that we do on here. And I want to kind of give a little shout out, a little prayer to my friend Gary Heron, who is one of our hosts on our show, who's ill right now. He has a little congestive heart failure right now, and he's in the hospital. We wish him a speedy recovery. So I want to take a few seconds just to think about him and think about all our people, all our friends, all our family, all those folks who we love and we care about, and we hope that they're okay. Because friends and family is where it's at. It's kind of how we reside and how we do. So, Gary, get well, my friend. We miss you. We hope you're doing well. I know it's tough, and we want you to get back to work and share your readings and share things with us. And I want to send prayers and shout outs to everybody who has family members who are sick or who are not feeling well. So to all my friends out there, Facebook land and with Insights Radio who are listening and tuning in, I want to say a special prayer for everybody. But let's take a moment to just center ourselves and just kind of get into that mode and get into that mood. Just take a deep breath real quick. The day's over for some of us. Some of us are just getting started. But for those of you who are home now and can relax and just take a break, this is a good time just to feel your feet touch the ground, your hands on your lap, or stretching out your arms. Whatever you do, your routine, whatever centers you, this is a good time to do it. Our show is going to be a little, not necessarily deep, but it's going to be about some serious issues and some serious topics about life today on planet Earth. On planet Earth, we tend to do things not so good sometimes, and sometimes we do well. And I want to thank Yvette, Pam, Abraham for everybody joining us. Welcome to the show. Today I wanted to talk about that we are the ones that have to adapt to Mother Earth. For so long, for so many centuries, we've always wanted to control Mother Nature and harness her energy, which is fine. But man also needs to know his place on this earth. And the biggest thing is to, respect and honor Mother Earth. And so many of us don't do that. So many of us, go through life just, like a natural resource. It's there, we use it, blah, we go to the next thing. And, we can't do that anymore. We're coming to the point where, where we're going to pay a very dear and very catastrophic price for that, for taking advantage and for raping and pillaging, Mother Earth. For many people, this is a wake up call. But, Mother Earth is a living thing. She's a living, breathing, producing, creating thing. She is something that is very, very, very much alive like you and I. Each one of us is like a Mother Earth. Think of all the things that are inside of it. We have more bacteria in our body than we have human cells. For those of you who did not know that, there's more bacteria inside of our body than there is human cells. So you can imagine what that's like and how crowded that can be. And then when we get sick, all that stuff that goes through our body and the things that happen to us. Mother Earth is here to love us, to honor us, and protect us. But Mother Earth, I had a conversation with some friends the other day about Mother Earth and, Mother Earth being the way she is. And they don't remember seeing so many hurricanes and so many, catastrophic weather and fires and different things that are going on around the world. But, I'll tell you something. Even though we notice that, those are normal occurrences. Those are things that happen. Lightning hits the forest and the forest catches on fire. The seas, come in and they go out and you get a tsunami or you get a hurricane. Those are things that have been going on for eons before we were even here. But human beings have helped accelerate some of this stuff too as well. We've helped accelerate things by creating, pollution, creating, the environment the temperatures to rise, and then the ice melts, causing the water to desalinate. And then what happens is it gets colder and then we drop. So we have this big fluctuation of weather. And the weather, is affected. And we're all affected by Mother Nature. If without Mother Nature, we do not survive. We will not live. And I don't know how, in which way, and how we're going to get that word out to the world and let everybody know, our leaders and to our friends and family, that Mother Nature is important. But we're so busy living lives, paying bills, driving cars and doing all the things we do that, Mother Nature is like secondary to us. There are people out there who, for her, she is first. For me, she's first. It's important. I understand what it means to honor Mother Nature and to honor the gifts of that, and also understand the Creator and all the things that come with that. But I'm on the planet. I live on the planet. I'm affected by the planet. We're all affected by, one person and how other people live. I posted a meme the other day. It's kind of like a little video of how man lives and how nature lives. And, most of the pictures, they were a little more exaggerated, but they were all polluted areas, and how we dump paper, how we dump, plastic bottles, and how we just inundate her with almost all the garbage. And then the other one is just how animals live. They don't produce the garbage we produce. We produce a lot of crap. We produce a lot of different things. What's it going to take for us as human beings to change? What's it going to be to move us into that place where we're going to be honorable, and we're going to honor Mother Earth by honoring ourselves? And it's terrible, First time, okay, and I read this on a news feed, that the first time in 300 years, not a single person lived on the island of Barbuda. And, that's crazy. And that's because of the hurricane when it wiped everything out. That's the power of Mother Earth. That's the power she possesses. 160-mile winds tearing apart buildings and tearing apart trees. That's the power that we're talking about. That is the power of Earth. And you know what? What if we could just harness 1 ounce of that, just 1 drop of that power, and produce it and use it in a way that we can? But we're so become such a greedy society where we want to pull out the dead liquid from the ground, use it, convert it, and make it into petroleum. And then, we wonder why things are happening the way they're happening on our planet. It's because it's money, power, and greed. And that's just plain and simple. There's no other excuse. There's no other reason why we do the things we do. That is the reason why we are going and we're doing the things we do. It's because there are people who want to become rich off the backs of other people, and there's people who want to just have it all, and they want to have the power. So how do you control everybody? Well, you control the natural things that come out of the earth, the gas, the oil, the petroleum, all that stuff, and you convert it and you sell it to your neighbor. And now they want to control the windmills that people are putting on their houses. Now they want to regulate solar panels that are on top of it. These are things that are given by Creator. These are things that are given to us. They come naturally. They're floating out of the sky. And these are winds that are blowing. And then somebody is trying to legislate and control these things. And that's a shame. That's a damn shame that somebody is even allowed to even promote or even address that they're going to do that. I understand that, we want to make money, we want to survive, blah, blah, blah. But, humanity should come before, all that. We should be able to take care of the humanity that lives on this planet. We should be able to, some things should be just given to us. If the wind is free and it blows in our face, why should we be cited, or why should we be put in jail for having a windmill? If the sun shines every day, why should we be punished? Why should we not be allowed to put solar panels on our house? It's all regulation. It's all bureaucracy. When's it going to end? When's it going to stop? Even the oil that's in the ground, that's ours. That's our blood, sweat, and tears as well. Those are our ancestors who've died. Those are millions of years of dinosaurs and plants and vegetation and all the things that have been compressed over the time. Those things, those are us. One day we'll be there in the ground. But right now, what really bothers me is, the solar panel regulations and the windmill regulations that our government has gotten into, where people, aren't even allowed to have them in their house without a certified installer. Yeah, I know there are programs where you can, as soon as you use the power, it reverses the meter, kicks backwards, and you get a little bit kicked back to you. But what do you do? What are we going to do? What are we going to tell our our children, our grandchildren, that we didn't care, I don't know. I know some of you online personally who are listening to the show care. And I know some of you are understanding what I'm saying. But there's a whole other segment that just doesn't give a rat's ass what happens out there. It's not their problem. I've spoken to these people. I know these people. And it's a damn shame. But we're going to pay the price one day, because Mother Earth will lash back at us. And you know what? And she will smash us. Every day she reminds us. And she will make you homeless. And she will take your life. So how do we live? How do we coexist with Mother Nature? How do we work with her? How do we become not necessarily one with her, but how do we dance with her? How do we become harmonious with her? How do we work with her? Well, for a lot of people who live on those coasts where the hurricanes have hit, it's expected that you're going to get smashed. You're going to get hit once in a while. So prepare yourself in a way that's safe. Mother Earth does not discriminate. You can be black, white, Chinese. I don't care what color you are. Mother Nature, she don't discriminate. When it's time to wipe clean the viruses that we are on this planet and wipe us clean and move us along, she'll do it. She doesn't go, oh, I'm just going to pick Iggy. I'm going to pick John. And I'm going to pick Colleen. No, that's not how it works. Mother Nature doesn't work like that. She doesn't pick favorites. There's not favorites. So how do you do and how do you live with Mother Nature? I mean, we're two generations right now. At least two good generations right now to forget everything that our ancestors used to live off and used to live off the land and how they lived off the land. Most of the kids that I coach in sports, when I coach soccer, most of these kids don't even know how to do anything unless they have to go to the store or use their cell phone. One day, an EMP charge comes and wipes out all our technology, then what? One day we have such a devastating catastrophe, a volcano erupts at Yellowstone, an earthquake in the Appalachians, a hurricane below. What are we going to do? Are we ready for that? Are we prepared for that? As human beings, are we prepared to survive? Are you prepared? All of you who are listening right now, are you prepared? How prepared are you? Because the battle with Mother Nature, the odds are against us. I'm more fearful of Mother Nature because I know that she doesn't stop. At least man will fight man, and there's a break. But Mother Nature, when she shows her wrath and when she's ready to do and clean house and wipe out, she'll do it. Yeah, we can pray all we want. We can move energetically and push the energies. But you know what? She's a whole different animal. She's a whole different creation. She's a whole different way of living. We made, our ancestors, some of them made fun of people who used to worship the land, who used to worship the sun, give thanks to those things. There was people out there who brought their religion and put it upon, people who worship, the sun rays coming from the sky, the Incas. My people, they give thanks to the sun because every day the sun came out, even if it was a cloudy day, they could guarantee that every day the sun would come out. And you know what? And the sun gives life, creates photosynthesis into the plants. The plants change, and that energy, is converted. And that conversion pulls the minerals out of the soil, and from in the soil it pulls into the plants. The best way to get minerals is through your plant, through your plants, eating plants. And there's protein also in plants also as well. Our animals eat plants. Ooh, is that a big surprise? No, sorry, didn't mean to shock you there. But you know what? We need to understand that, our relationship with Earth and our relationship with Mother is very disconnected. We're very, very, very disconnected. Even as much as we may think we're connected to her and we think we honor her, but, we can only do our best, and I get that. But there's coming a moment now, and I'm not trying to be fear-based here, but there's coming a time now. We're coming into a place where we're really going to be challenged. We have a lot of things going on around the world. If we're not careful, we can find ourselves in a very difficult place. We're protecting ourselves from causing a war in the Far East. In the Middle East, we have wars going on. What happens when we wipe ourselves out? Let alone destroy the skin, the top layer of the earth. What happens? Are we ready? Is that a reality? Could that happen? It could. I hope not, ever, in my opinion, because that would be the most worst case scenario ever. But man has found a way to be dysfunctional and to flex his muscle and think that he's God. But yet he's not responsible enough to have the responsibility of what that means to be godlike. Okay? And Pam, there are no weeds. Everything is given to us for a reason. That is correct. Because one man's weed is another man's medicine. Sounds kind of funny. But, there's weeds in our gardens that do all kinds of stuff. There's plantain in our yard. There's thistles in our yard. There's dandelions in our yards. The things that a lot of our neighbors, most of our neighbors, maybe some of you, go to the Home Depot, Lowe's, and you get the little machine and you do the spreader because you want your yard to look nice and green. I got nothing against that. But, that's food. That's food. So the thing is to educate ourselves also about Mother Earth, to educate ourselves what our ancestors used to do. Our ancestors had to survive. They had to live. They didn't have, some of them, we were at a time where there was no refrigeration. It was a time where you just don't go into the refrigerator. Oh, what am I going to eat today? Chocolate pudding. But imagine yourself today, take yourself and put yourself in that time frame. Back in those days. Could you survive? Some of you probably could, but I guarantee your life would be different. We live in a time where we have such powerful technology. We have Facebook and different things. I know I complain about Facebook sometimes because I post it, but I just being whiny, because I get tired of stuff like everybody. But we have such a powerful resource to share information, that we've created. Man is so intelligent and so, knowledgeable about things, but yet so stupid on the other side of things. There's enough food to go around to feed the entire planet. There's enough to go around for everybody, but we're so caught up in dogma, so caught up in politics, so caught up in religion, so caught up in all of the other things that maybe are important to the group, maybe they're important to that. But, one of the biggest, underground lakes is in the desert, on the other side of the world. One of the biggest aquifers down there, one of the biggest lakes, underground lakes. And there's a desert above it. But I tell you, man is on a crash course to adapt very quickly. Because Mother Nature won't adapt to us. I tell you right now, if you expect Mother Nature to yield and bend, she won't. Even those who talk about the HARP machine, the big machine that creates the weather, once you create and you start creating clouds, you start doing all the things and manipulating and accelerating and changing microenvironments like that. Once you create it, you can't control it. You can't contain it. Once it's alive and it's kicking, it's you don't have any control. And if you think you do, you're a completely fool. Especially our governments who test that. They want to create waters. I saw a documentary. We have a water shortages on the West Coast. Okay, and I find this really interesting because in the mountains of Nepal, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was a man who created a way to bring water down. Okay, so what he would do is create these little pumps. Okay, and he put these little pipes up, and then he'd let the water spray up, and then as it got wintertime, it got cold, he created these huge mountains of ice. Just huge. They pumped the water up, and, because they were having issues with water and stuff, so, and then they freeze, and they make these huge, gigantic, enormous size ice blocks is what they're making. And then when the summer comes or the spring comes, they start to melt, and then that water runs off, and that's what the people drink. And that's what the people use for their cattle, and that stuff is used. And it's ingenious. It's someone's mind at work. I find that amazing. We talk about Google, we talk about, Facebook and all that stuff, but we have people who have amazing minds to create amazing things. And, why can't we create amazing things for the world? We have such bright, intelligent human beings on this planet that can do so much for humanity, but it's all about the money. It's about money. It's about money. It's about power control, regulation, politics stuff. So when do we stop? When do we say, hey, that's enough? When is someone going to be brave enough to say, you know what? Humans come first. Humanity comes first. They talk about America being first. Well, no, humanity comes first. Everybody. Everybody's in a tizzy right now, and everything's going crazy right now. You got North Korea that wants to bomb us. Why do they want to bomb us? Did anybody ask why they want to bomb us? I have my suspicions. But when your people are starving, they have nothing to eat, and, things are going on there where that are kind of unethical and things are going on, you probably don't have much left to do, right? But flex your muscle and try to, it's everybody putting their chest up. I'm bigger dog, It's if I was God, if you were God, I would be really disappointed in my kids, If I was the creator, I'd be like, man, what the heck did I do? What is this? I gave them free will, so I didn't have to make the choice for them. But obviously that was a mistake. No, I'm just joking. But it's like, I don't know, man. It's just like, I have these conversations with other friends, and we talk about things like this. But one thing that's constant is that we are all on this planet together. That's a constant. We're all here living together. And that is going to be for a while. And that's going to be for a long time. I hope man can wake up one day and say, hey, you know what? It's time to do better. It's time to live. It's time to share. It's time to coexist. But, there's so much discomfort for some people when they see another person of another color. It's discomfort when they see another person from another religion. So much discomfort when they look at somebody because they're different than you. But they're not. We're not really that much different, except for the pigment, our languages, our upbringings and stuff. And, the things that we've been taught and fed, and then our mind reprogrammed. It's about changing. It's about embracing. Mother Nature is going to strike. Mother Nature is going to do her thing. Mother Nature is always going to do, and she's always going to, put us in a place that's uncomfortable. And that's probably the only time I ever see man really, really, truly come together and do things together. When there's a natural disaster, That's when humanity sometimes put their things and their differences apart. They set them aside and they come together. And then once it's done, when it's over, we're all back to what we did again. So what would you guys do? Those of you who are on the live stream listening, what would you do? How would you change this world? What would be something that would be something great for humanity, something that would help us all? You know, it's so easy for me to sit here and bash and complain and talk about, but you know, I mean, when I get frustrated when we have to pay to have solar panels in our house, if we can put them ourselves, you know, if we get fined if we're going to have, you know, a windmill in our house, things that our ancestors used. You know, the Dutch are a good example. They have windmills. You know, in Holland, you know, they use those. And here in Ohio, they had water mills. They would churn and they would use to grind the grains and stuff. But the thing is, you know, Mother Earth sustains us. But Mother Earth will only give us what we can give back to. Mother Earth can only give you what she has. If you deforest a whole region and don't plant trees again, well, you're not going to get a whole lot of stuff back. You're not going to get another forest back. We're the intelligent people to say, hey, if we take down 30 trees, we should plant 60 trees. You know, I don't know. That's the part that I understand. Maybe that does happen, but most of the time when I see things and when I read things, that doesn't occur. That's not what's going on. You know, the work I do is very connected to Mother Earth, connected to what happens, you know, how I feel and how I anticipate and how I do my energy work. You know, it's by invitation. I invite Spirit to come in me, and I invite Mother Earth to channel through me as well. And sometimes it's a very sad moment when I feel. Mother Earth doesn't have the consciousness like maybe you and I have, but her consciousness is so much greater than ours. Her consciousness is into the future, into the present, and into the past. Her roots go so deep. Her knowledge is so deeply, deeply buried in her roots. And when she gives us seeds for life, well, we can either plant them and sow them, or we can just cast them to the side. You know, what's man going to do? What's their future going to be like? There are people who can't even can food. There are people, if something happened today, I think most people wouldn't even have enough money or have anything in their shelves to even survive a week. You know, it was said, you know, if there was a disaster, the stores would run out of food in a matter of 2 hours. Like everything would just be taken within 2 hours. That makes you think about, you know, makes you think a little bit. 2 hours, wow. So when I say adapt to Mother Earth, when I say that we have to adapt to her, is because we're never going to be able to change her. She can't. She is who she is. You know, when we look at the weather a lot of us are really, you know, connected to the weather forecast. We're really addicted to that. You know, we get on there and we go, ooh, what's the weather going to be like? And then you forecasting. Do we forecast for survival? Do we forecast to move forward into the future? What's our forecast as human beings? How are we going to live? I don't know. But I do know this, that, you know, Mother Earth will be here longer than we'll ever be here. You know, we probably have a good stint of 1,000 years, maybe, just America itself. And then a new group of people will come, and hopefully these new people come, and they can learn to live off the land, whatever is left of it, whatever we've left behind for our great grandchildren and their children. I don't know. You know, what's going to be left? Because at the rate we're wasting and using stuff is just blows my mind. You know, here in Columbus, you can drive by Grove City and you can see the city dump there. You know, that's our history. That's our ancestral mound. That's our story of how we were a wasteful people and how we abused it and how we, just took it all. Some of those things that are so buried so deep in the way, just the way they'll just be preserved. It won't rot, won't go away. But that's our Native American mound. If you're native here, you're the future natives. Okay, you're the future, you're indigenous people. When our history will be piped open by future generations, people who, once we're gone, because most civilizations disappear, and our turn will come. Somebody will open up those mounds and say, "Ooh, wow, look, Nintendo or whatever," and they might not even speak the language anymore. They might not even know what's there. But our bones will be there. Our remnants will be there. Our history will be there. The refrigerator that got dumped will be there. All those little things. Think about that. When you drive by those things are enormous. Those things are not little. They're huge. And that's what we dumped back into the earth. We pulled from the earth. We took it, recycled. We recycled it, and we changed it. And now it looks like this. And then when we're done and we discard it, we throw it into the hole. And that's everybody. We all do that. We all play a part in that. Some of us work very hard to recycle. Some of us work really hard to separate our yard waste. Some of us put the trash, but there are others who don't care. They just throw it all in. It's reality. It's how it is. But that's what happens when we live in these big cities and we overpopulate and we have so many people. At what time, at what place, how can we sustain that many? I mean, when I say sustain, I'm talking about the infrastructure we've created. I'm not really talking about Mother Nature per se. Because when she's ready to shake the fleas off of her, she'll do it. She'll do it. Guaranteed. So, what is your part? How will you play to work to make a better future? Are you prepared for a disaster? Are you prepared for something that happens, like happened in Florida, that happened in Texas? Some of us are very lucky up here because we live in the ways we live, in the places we live. Some of you don't care because it doesn't really affect you. That's just human nature. I mean, there's no way around it. It just is. But Mother Nature is a beautiful thing. We talked earlier about, people were talking about the weeds that grow in their yard. Sometimes we discard them and we pull them. But there are a lot of weeds out there that are very beneficial to us. And there's also some that make us very ill and very sick as well. But they all have a purpose. They're there for a reason. And, everything has a system, a symbiotic system. If you ever wonder how certain things grow in your garden and how certain things appear in your flower beds, well, you got friends called birds. You got rodents. You got raccoons. You got all these different animals that, they all work with Mother Earth. And that's how things get moved and pushed around. There was a time where the bees were having a struggle to survive because of just the things we were doing as human beings were doing. Because we wanted to genetically modify, bees and control bees. I admire man's ideas and creations to do things and to innovate things and make things better for, everyone. But it has to be for everyone. It can't just be for just the few. There are people we have brothers and sisters in Africa. We have brothers and sisters in Detroit. We have brothers and sisters in Peru. We have brothers and sisters in Russia who, they have one meal a day, or if any at all. Can we create communities where we're all working together? Self-sustaining communities where we can, live off the land together. Can we do that? Is it a doable thing? Do we want that as a race? Do we want to learn to have community gardens? Do we want to learn to live off the land again? I'll be the first to tell you, I know a lot of stuff about survival and how to live, but I guarantee you that I'm probably not as equipped and as prepared as I think I am. I might last a while, but you're talking about forever. whatever forever is. You know, if you're going to live 30, 40 years and you don't have electricity, you don't have, our brothers and sisters, the Amish do that, right? They don't have electricity, but they still seem to find a way, right? Because they work in communities. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect because we're humans, and humans are imperfect creatures, and there's perfection in the imperfection, but we're imperfect. We're unperfect, and we cause more damage to other people around us, to ourselves, but we also are beautiful creators. There are people who create amazing permaculture gardens, amazing. They take sustainable gardens and create them in deserts. So we have the capacity, we have the knowledge, we have the ability to do great things on this planet, to do great things for humanity. But we need more people involved. We need to share this knowledge with our children. Our children are really ill-equipped to survive and to be able to live off the land. There are some of you whose kids probably could because you've taught them well, but there are many who are not. I guarantee you my kids couldn't live off the land right now. They couldn't, if something happened right now, they could not just survive. I guarantee they would come knocking on my door and try to figure things out while it's happening. So why wait? You know, I encourage everybody here to learn, to go out and research, and to learn how to create certain types of gardens, not monoculturing gardens where, you know, we just plant things in a row, but creating food forests, creating these food forests where they actually grow by themselves every year. You just have to do good groundwork for the first year and a half, 2 years, as things progress. And then eventually your fruit trees grow, your nut trees grow, and then, you know, your other plants grow, your medicinal plants grow, and everything's just working in harmony. Just like you would if you were driving down the freeway, you see all the different layers of plant life growing. That's permaculture. That's natural environment. You know, you have your taller, medium-sized, smaller, lower, and then your grass, and then your weeds or whatever's growing there. So ask yourself, are you ready for anything? Are you willing to go a step out of your comfort zone and learn something? I'm not here to share fear. I'm just here to kind of say, hey, you know, maybe we need to wake up a little bit. We put a lot of our trust in hospitals, put a lot of our trust in government. We put a lot of trust in Walmart. We put a lot of trust in Giant Eagle. We put a lot of trust in things that could be gone in a matter of 2 hours if we had a natural disaster. Are you ready to adapt? Can you adapt if you had to? I mean, it's a good question to ask. Mother Nature will adapt. She'll change her ways. She doesn't need your permission. She'll never ask for your permission. She'll just do it. Now, how do you find out about these things? Well, you do your research. You learn. You find the groups that do these kind of things, and you get on board and you take a few classes and you learn. That's how easy it is. Or you go to your farmer. One of the biggest things, if you ever wanted to learn how to do anything, become friends with a farmer. Farmer will teach you everything his family taught him. Farmers are the keys to every society. You know? Little by little, you know? Everything's a cinch, you know? You try to do things too much at one big gulp, then you get tired and burned out. I'm just stressing that we need to just teach our kids too in school, you know, be more proactive and teach kids gardening, even if they don't like it. Sometimes you have to do things you don't like. Not hard to grow a plant put in the ground, but what's hard is the soil fertile? Is the soil able to sustain life? It's just like you. Are you able to sustain life in yourself if you're ill and weak? Mother Earth's the same way. When we keep polluting her, all she does is a flush. She's cleaning, she's cleansing, and she's purifying. She's moving natural resources that she has within the soil of the ground, of the ocean, and moving them into certain parts of the world. And, you know, she's creating she's doing like a raking. She's raking things and moving things and cleansing things because things are too polluted. You know, I'll be honest. In my country, they dump the shit out the big pipe out into the ocean, and I know we do that here too in certain parts of the country too as well. that stuff comes back. That stuff affects you. We got Fukushima, that's the reactor had the core melt down over there, and all that radiation's pumping out. What do we think's going to happen? What do we think's going to happen when we have all that radiation pumping into the water? Well, for one, we have these giant, jellyfish now that every time we cut them to get them out of the water, they just drop to the bottom of the ocean because they're programmed to fertilize as they're being destroyed or eaten or whatever. And then the eggs and the sperm, what happens is they go to the bottom of the ocean. And when the temperature rises to a certain degree, they hatch. They come to life and they populate again. So Mother Nature has a plan. Mother Nature has a system at work constantly, a system we can't even understand. There are parts of this oceans in this world that are so deep that we haven't even been able to go down them or even explore them because we just can't. They're so deep, super deep, that there are creatures down there who have never seen light, ever. Light will stop penetrating certain parts of the depths of the ocean because it's just so dark and so deep. That's amazing. If you think about it, that's crazy. There's giant squids down there, giant fish, luminous fish, and even deeper than that, no one really knows what's there. Maybe a few sunken ships, but regardless, 2 miles deep, that's crazy. 10 miles deep, whew, that's deep waters. Mother Earth, she has a plan for herself. She knows what she needs to do. She has to do that because that's what she does. That's how she works. That's how she keeps herself alive. We're here by invitation to be on this planet. It's our turn as humans, as humanoids as we are. It's our turn to either get it right or get it wrong, or be failing in the process and learning. But we're not doing either. Right now, we're failing miserably. Do you think every time we launch nuclear weapons into the water to do tests to see if we have the bigger bomb, do you think that helps humanity? Or do you think that's beneficial to the Earth? You think that's beneficial to the creatures that are underneath there? Come on, man. Who's the genius on that part? Who's the guy or the gal who thought that was smart? Oh, yeah, let's just contaminate our waters. Oh, yeah, let's just contaminate our airs. Let's just put in the desert. No one lives in the desert. Let's just blow up the desert. Boom. We just make a lot of glass. It blows my mind how man is so ignorant as he is so intelligent. The supremacy for power is just so out of control on this planet. It just blows my mind. I can't fathom why we would do such a thing to ourselves, let alone to others. Every time we test those bombs, every time we launch something into the water, every time we do, that affects the Earth. That moves the core. That moves the fault lines. That does something. Maybe it shifts us out of alignment just a degree. But that has to do something, and it must affect something. And will you find the research on it? Will you find the information on it? Probably not. Unless you really truly dig for it. I don't know. Our battle with ourselves is causing us to, run into some really serious issues with Mother Earth. We have these superstorms, we have droughts. We've created all these different things in the world, and I don't know how we expect to even be able to survive and do the things we do. But I challenge you, each one of you who are listening to the show, to go out there and just do your best. Do your best to survive. Do your best and do little by little and, become proficient, become better at what you're doing. Because we need you. We need each other. We need you to all be on board with this. Everybody has to be involved with this. It can't just be the few anymore. The few have done a lot for the many. And I know it's the 80-20 rule, but maybe we should flip the numbers around a little bit, and maybe 80% doing more of the work than the 20, because 20 have been doing 80% of the work. And you know what? It's not enough. It's not enough anymore. So if you want to not play the 80-20 rule anymore, then those who are 20% doing 80% of work, now it's time to shift. You know, the 80% of people are doing 100%, doing the best we can to make Mother Earth a more livable place for us. She sustains us to the capacity that we take care of her as well. She'll do her thing. She'll do her cleansing. She'll do her movement, and she'll clear us out, whatever she needs to clear out. That's just normal. You know, all these hurricanes, all these things happen. Those are natural occurrences in the planet Earth. Yeah, maybe we've accelerated a few things, but she's always going to have hurricanes. There's always going to be a tornado. There's always going to be a wildfire out in the brush out west or wherever. There's going to be a tremor earthquake, because that's a reminder to us, a gentle reminder to us that, hey, I'm still here. You know, us little germs, us little bacteria, us little viruses that we are on her, you know, we can do good things too. We can adapt and learn just like our counterparts that are inside of our body. We learn, we adapt. But we have to adapt. We have to change. The same way that organisms inside our bodies adapt and change. You know, when we take the things that we take to keep us healthy, they're also adapting and changing too, because their environment is affected by how we live and how we take care of ourselves. Mother Earth is no different. Mother Earth is adapting, changing, cleansing, purifying, toning, doing all the things that she does. We should take that example. We should learn from her. But you know, there's so much for her that she has and so much she wants to give us and teach us that we have to listen sometimes, and we're not listening at times. And sometimes we have to learn the hard way, and sometimes we have to learn in ways that are uncomfortable. But hopefully we learn. But our time will come. Just like the Romans, just like the Egyptians, just like all the great societies, just like the Incas, just like everybody before us, the Adena, who just, you can rattle off and name people who probably don't even exist anymore, we don't even have names for. You know, we'll all have our time on this planet. We'll all have our moment. You know, how will we be remembered? How would we be remembered? By the mounds that we created out far outside of our cities? Those indigenous mounds of ours, with all the burial stuff we have in there. You know, all the trash that we dump in there, all the methane that pumps out of there. All that stuff is us. That's our history. That's our story. That's us telling the world how we lived and how we took advantage, how we raped, and how we just weren't. We were careless. We just abuse and use. So don't be afraid. But teach your children the ways of our ancestors. Teach your children the way of the things that we have forgotten to do. We've lost a lot of that. We've lost it. We're on a crash course for the next 2 generations to lose everything that we've ever learned. There are actually tribes in this country who don't even have medicine man because the knowledge was never passed down. Nobody wanted to learn. Nobody wanted to, embrace it. And that's, I don't know how we can change that. But if we put our trust in other people that they're going to do things for us and they're going to take care for us, that could be bad. That's a recipe for disaster. Our ancestors had to live off the land, and they had to learn quickly and fast. Are you able to live quickly and fast? Ask yourself. A lot of you guys post a lot of cool things on here talking about things, and I get that. But I challenge each and one of you to do better. As you do better for yourself, you do better for others. Together as a team, we create, we can do more things. While we're here, let's enjoy it. Let's learn. Let's teach. Let's remember. Let's share the stories. Let's talk about things. Let's bring back the old ways. Technology is a beautiful thing. We can teach the old ways through technology. We can teach our kids. We can teach, our grandkids. But teaching our kids that you go to the grocery store and that's it, and that's the only way to live, that's not really a powerful teaching, in my opinion. Yeah, it's conducive to how we live, but there's more to that. They close a Walmart down, they close a store down, or whatever, for some reason. Well, then what do you do? I talked earlier about an EMP strike. What if that happens? Our technology goes black and gets gone. It's wiped out. Back in the 1800s when, those things occurred, different things, EMP strikes, it didn't affect us because we weren't connected in that way. We weren't affected by those things. But today we are. Today we are. We get a huge solar flare comes in here, boom, knocks us out. Technology's out for a week, 2 weeks. But humans will adapt. I'll give you that. Humans are very adaptable. They will adapt if they have to. They will move into places when they need to move, when they're forced there. Eventually, sometimes we're forced back into the cave, and sometimes we linger out of the cave and we explore. And we gather and we hunt. But the thing is, let's teach our kids. Let's teach our kids to adapt to Mother Nature, to learn her ways, to learn the things about the plants, to learn how to identify things that are growing in our backyard. There are things in our yard that are beneficial to us. I'm not here to tell you which ones they are. That's something you have to do research on. But a lot of you know these plants. And those plants are good for us. And some of them are very dangerous if they're not used properly. If they're not used in the proper fashion. So you really have to really buckle down and learn. Learn about permaculture. Learn about gardening. Learn about canning. Learn about survival. Learn about how to purify water. There's so much to learn, so much to do. And I hope we never have to get into a situation where we all have to live in intentional communities, where we have to depend on each other. But that might have to happen. Now, I guarantee the people down in Texas right now are really struggling. The news, since it's not newsworthy anymore, we don't hear anything about it. Now it's like, no, that's not good for the ratings. There's people down there suffering right now. There's people who are starving. There are people who have died because they just don't know where their next meal is going to come from, or they're just died of thirst. There are people because they just don't know. So people who have just mentally died because they just don't know how to survive. Remember Katrina? That happened. Katrina. A lot of people just shut off. I hope that never happens to friends and family that I have. But that's proof right there. It just shows us right there that Mother Nature is much more powerful than us, much more adept to change things when she's uncomfortable. But it's also a lesson for us to learn that we're not as smart as we think we are. Because as easy come, easy go, and easy go was a lot of us. And, God rest and bless their souls, regardless if they were prepared or not prepared. But are we ready for natural disaster? Are we ready? Are you ever ready? Can you be ready? Can you get far enough? Do we have enough provisions? I don't know what the future brings for humanity. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure where we're moving to and what steps we are creating to better our nation, better the world, better this globe, But if I can remember what millions and millions of years ago, a meteor hit this planet and wiped out a whole species of animals, a whole species of creation. I don't know what would have happened if that meteor never came. We may have never existed. from that soup that was created, we kind of came from there and were moved along by creation and through Creator. And we were born over time. Who's to say that another meteor is not going to come from outer space and hit us again like it did back then? You know, the universe has a pattern. It has a resonance, and it has a repetition of doing the same thing over and over. There are asteroids that travel the same circuit for millions of years or thousands of years or 100 years or shorter periods of time. They just do the same thing. There's a rhyme and a reason for it. It's almost as if creation itself knows when it's time to cleanse and purify. You know, I don't want to be caught in that, but it could happen. An ice storm or an ice age can hit us again. And are we ready? Can we survive living under 2 miles of ice? And these glaciers are left behind. Can we? Has man gone underground before? Has man come out? I don't know. I don't have those answers, but I do know this. There's evidence that those things did happen before. Why did the ice ages occur? We have a lot of reasons. We had a lot of theories, and we have a lot of scientific proof of why. But was man here before? And did man do it again? I don't know. I have my ideas about things. It doesn't make them right or wrong. They're just my ideas, my creations, my beliefs. But one day we're going to be tested by the heavens. There will be a day when the meteors crash through the atmosphere and change the way we live. There will be one day when the volcanoes erupt. We have one of the biggest volcanoes in the United States. Every day it's bubbling. We've had volcanoes erupt here in the United States. 100 years ago or more? We've had issues. We've had deserts created, the dust bowls, because man didn't know how to harness the earth or work with her side by side with her. They created their own detriment. Because when we do the monoculturing, we're creating one crop, and then, and that crop just reaps the soil from its nutrition, and then the vegetation is rampaged by bacteria and germs and other types of insects and locusts and all kinds of things. Like I said earlier, man does amazing things, but he also does some really stupid stuff. Now, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. I know it's not one of my regular topics that I talk about, but I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I wanted to share that about Mother Earth, how we have to adapt and how she doesn't really have to adapt to us. Because I find it funny sometimes when man thinks he is almighty and powerful because he has his nuclear weapons. Damn nuclear weapon ain't going to do nothing. That ain't going to feed you. History has shown that famines have hit places in the past and people have eaten people. People have eaten their dogs. People have eaten each other because they're hungry. I hope we never have to go through that. I hope we never, ever have to see that. My friends, just do the best you can. Look me up on iggygarcia.com. I have my friends, nemenha.org. These people teach permaculture. They teach, the things that I'm talking about, that I talked about today. If you're wondering where to find, people who know how to do this stuff, you have friends right here, right in front of you. Right here. You have Iggy. You have other people. You have friends. It's time to create a community. It's time to create a community of people working together to bring back the old ways of our ancestors. And our ancestors don't have to be natives, don't have to be white people, they don't have to have any labels. Labels hold men and women back sometimes. It's about humanity. It's about being alive, being humans, and not repeating the things that we've done in the past. Because man has a bad habit of repeating history over and over and over again. Some for the good, mostly for the bad. So man has to adapt. Man has to do better. Man has to learn. When I say man, that includes women as well. That's just in case. And in Spanish, we talk like that. We have to work together. And I know it's uncomfortable for some people to work with other people. But in order for us to do better as humans, we have to change the paradigm, change the game a little bit, change our thinking. Look at people in a way that they are not a thing, that they are another version of ourselves, another aspect of us, another version of life, another version of God, another version of creation. That's what it's about for me. And when I talk about these things, that's how I see the world. I see the world that we can all get along. We can all make a difference together. Even by ourselves, one person can make a huge difference. One person picks up one piece of paper off the ground, and that paper won't blow up into the sky and go into someone's car or hit them in the face, cause an accident. We can change the world by one act of kindness, or just one act of doing and understanding. We can change the world. Now there will be others who won't be on board with what I'm talking about, and that's okay. We don't have to wait for somebody to give us permission to do better for ourselves, to do better for the world. We don't need permission. Just do it. If you see the paper on the ground, you see somebody throw it out, instead of picking it up and throwing it back in their car, just pick it up, throw it away. Because it's easy to be confrontational when we see somebody throwing trash. I've seen it, and it just totally blows my mind how somebody can just throw trash right in front of you on the ground and think it's okay. But there are people who do that, and that's just who they are. But the old wise owl will say, I will pick it up and I will just throw it away and move along my day. Because maybe that person will watch you, and by the example of you just doing it, they will either snicker at you or wonder, maybe I need to be a little more careful how I do things. Now, we're all born in this time for a specific reason. We all have a purpose. If you don't know what your purpose is, then create one. Start by picking up a piece of paper off the ground. That's your purpose. Start waving hello to somebody for that moment. That's your purpose. Call your mom or call a friend on the phone. In that moment, that's your purpose. I hear so many people say, I don't have a purpose. Make your purpose. Do it on purpose. Go out of your way to be different than you were yesterday. Go out of your way to do things in a way that's loving to you, loving to others. Most people strive to be loved and noticed. Most people work really hard, to have some form of attention, some form of, acknowledgement. And there are other people who just do things, and they don't really wait for anything. They just do it. Neither way is right or wrong. It's just that way. But if you want to create purpose in your life and you want to work side by side with Mother Earth, then, pick up the trash. Pick up the things that you see. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I'm at the gas station. There's a trash can right there, and people dump their cigarette butts right on the freaking ground. I can never figure that one out. Is it going to cost you 2 steps to walk to the trash can and dump it out? But, I picked up those buds because I know if I don't pick them up, then they go someplace else. Something happens. It affects something. It goes into our streams. It goes into our rivers. Everything affects everything. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not affecting something. Everything. The paper you throw out the window. I grew up in the 70s, okay? Like a lot of you, and maybe some of you didn't grow up in the 70s, maybe in the 80s or 90s, or maybe in the 60s or 50s. But there was a time where I was afraid to throw anything out the window because, I thought Smokey the Bear was going to come and whoop my ass. I thought Hootie the Owl was just going to pop me in the head. I was afraid to do anything. I was just I was really conditioned, but it was good conditioning. I like that conditioning because that conditioning, I respect that. I wouldn't even play with matches in the woods because I was afraid I was going to catch the forest on fire and Smokey the Bear was going to come and put handcuffs on me and whoop me. But that's kind of stuff we remember, some of you guys remember the crying Indian man who was on the canoe? Well, number one, he's not Indian. He guy's Italian. Number one, he's an actor because I watched a little show about that. But still, the point was, how can we do this to ourselves? How can we pollute Mother Earth, pollute our environment, pollute where we live? How can we do that? Why in the heck would we do that? That's crazy. Crazy, 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 crazy. It's like taking a bath and then just throwing your Wendy's in there and throwing your Coke in there, half drank, throwing a little cigarette butt in there, well, throw some poop in there too while you're taking a bath, What's the difference? Because when you're swimming in these polluted waters, and most waters are polluted to some degree now, if you do your research, you'll find out that the most expensive water filtration system cannot remove certain particles out of the water. And do your research on this because I've done my research. And the number one thing that's hard to remove out of a filtration system that it can't be removed because it's so small and it becomes so it just bonds with the molecules in the water, okay, is sweeteners. You ever wonder why water tastes a little sweet sometimes? It's because the sweeteners in the water you can't filter them out. You can't. You can filter a whole bunch of other stuff, but you can't. There's so many, I can't even imagine the medications that get dumped into the water, okay, how that affects us. Could you imagine the heart pills and codeine and all this stuff that gets dumped into our water, all this, everything? Think about, the Drano and all the things we use to unplug. Where's that all go? Well, most of it goes back to the plant. I'm sure the other part goes somewhere else. And especially all the chemicals that we use in our lawns, they get washed out into, down the storm sewers into our rivers. And then we have this big, huge algae problem up in Lake Erie. That's what I'm talking about adapting. That's what I'm talking about creating. Because when we pollute the waters, okay, that's bad. Then when we can't purify them and cleanse them anymore, that's bad. Can't drink the poisoned water anymore. What are we going to do? Well, we start small. We work together and we do our best. Just do your best, guys. I'm just here to remind you. I'm not here to punish or, belittle or make you feel bad because you didn't do your part or I'm not doing my part. It's just here to remind you that, we have a lot to do. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of restructuring of how we live our lives and holding ceremony and giving prayers to the water. Most of us all pray to God and give thanks to God. But how many of us give thanks to Mother Earth? I'm sure there's some of you guys here who do, but I do. I give thanks to Mother Earth. It's not being disrespectful to God. God's probably going, yeah, thanks, man. I'm glad someone remember my kid, you know. Mother Earth is beautiful. She's amazing. She has the most amazing gifts to offer us. And if you want to be part of those gifts, then you have to open your eyes, open your ears, open your mouths, open your hearts. And she's listening. And she's waiting for you. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I think I've scared everybody enough tonight. So, but I want to thank you for listening and taking time out of your busy night, because you could be doing anything else and listening to another podcast. But I want to thank you for listening to Iggy Garcia Live podcast, because it means a lot to me. And the work that I do is very super important. And for you to sit there and take time out of your schedule to listen touches me right here. Okay. I'll be back in a couple weeks to talk a little bit about whatever we're going to talk about. Thanks, David. You know, but I want to thank Beck, Mary, David, everybody who's been listening in here, Rita, everybody, all the names that are here. Just give me a wave there. Give me a little heart that you like the show, and this is good. And if you have a topic you want to talk about, there's something that you want to share, something that you want me to address, maybe a Q&A session where we can just talk about whatever you want to talk about. Maybe card readings in the future. I don't know. You know, we can do whatever you want. Send me an email or send me a messenger, or, you know, communicate with me somehow what you would like to talk about, what you would like me to cover, what you want me to share. Okay. With that, I want to say thank you. You guys have a great evening. It's been a blessing. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Okay. Look both ways, because, oh my God, kids are terrible today. They just ride their bikes without even looking. But look both ways, okay? Okay, and when it says walk, keep looking both ways. Just trust me, someone's brakes might not be working well. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.